So I'm going to introduce you to my secret CRM tool for managing my school group. And no, it's not GoHighLevel or anything like that. This is literally a purpose-built school-based tool that is directly inside your school page when using it on your computer. And this is probably one of the best kept secrets within the school community. Many of the big school users out there and many small ones that you probably see in the schoolers community. In fact, there's over 500 people using this now. They are all secretly using it. And I'm almost a little bit like I don't want to share it, but I think it's going to benefit a huge number of you out there, especially those of you selling mid to high ticket, or maybe if you're doing any type of follow-up or sales calls and so on. This is really going to help you manage your community in so many different ways and automate a large number of the tasks that were quite difficult to do in school, as well as having many features that for sort of us marketers and sellers and coaches and creators, there's a lot of features on Skool that just aren't there. And this actually has many of them built in inside. So with that said, it's actually called Scoot, and this is it here in the side right here. Now, I will put a link just below this video to where you can get a 7-day free trial to both the tool and the community. Gareth and his team are absolutely amazing, and they're also doing free onboarding calls to walk you through how you can potentially use this inside your business. So they're absolutely fantastic guys, really responsive. So this tool is basically here. It's built in on your web, built in on the page, so on your browser page within your desktop computer. I don't think it works on mobile apps, but you can basically make it bigger or smaller, and you can essentially drag people's names directly into this. And I'll walk you through some of the features that it actually has and some of the things that you can do inside. And I've only been using it for a couple of months, and I'm for sure I'm not using it to its full abilities. And I know they've added a ton of new features, such as being able to actually have AI now, which is an upgraded feature, I think, but having AI, and it's something I'm going to look at very soon, to actually communicate with people and manage some of the onboarding DMs and follow-ups and so on, sending them bespoke lead magnets and things like that, so that you can really tailor the onboarding to that exact individual person, which is obviously going to improve their experience based on different people that are joining your community. So this is getting really powerful, and it is, yes, plugging into things like Copilot and also I think ChatGPT. So if you've got certain workflows and tools and things that you use, it's now going to be able to pull data from Scoot into that and do automations. And yes, you could potentially speak to Copilot and to get it to do things such as following up with people who you've got calls with the next day to make sure that they've got emails and so on, even within the school system. So some really fantastic features. So one of the first things that you're going to see is you've got the tags here, the tags section. Now, I'm using this currently in many different ways. I'm actually starting to potentially remove a lot of people from my school community because it's aging out. We've changed niche. There's a lot of people that are dormant and no longer on the platform. So I've gone through and I'm going to do a brutal removal of people. So I've been messaging people and DMing people to try and see who's active and who isn't. And I've been able to tag people and put them into a sequence that I can gradually remove them from the system. So if they then engage with me, I can move them into a different safe list here. And then that allows me to know who I'm going to actually move, and then to create a pipeline for future new people that come inside and don't activate, to make sure that they are going to be removed within, say, 6 weeks. If they're not activating, if they're not active on the school platform, if they're not taking certain activities that I want rather have a small community which is more active, more engaged, more relevant people, rather than just people coming to have a look or competitors. So I want to potentially remove those people who aren't activating inside. Now, many people don't agree with this, but that's one way that I'm actually using it. But for many, it's going to be tagging new people, such as new members, following up with them. You can then add them to different pipelines that you can have here, which you can have different things, people set for removal, people set for different sales funnels. I'm going to make sure that you can't see some of these names here just for people's privacy. But then the tags part is something that I really do use a huge amount. But what you can also do, and what I think is going to be the most important thing to most people, is all of the different automations. So in terms of adding anybody to a tag, just so you know, let me just quickly go back. I can actually grab anybody from inside here. So let's just grab myself. And at any point, I can drag and drop them into any of these, and I can move them around. And it's also going to tag them with things next to their name, which you can then select, and it's going to show them next to their names inside of your actual group. And then you can see what they are doing based on who they are and so on. And this allows you to follow up, and not just in your community, in other communities. So if you were wanting to do follow-up and engage with people, or you think some people are potentially a target person that you might want to follow up with, knowing that you can only send a few select DMs every now and again, you might want to tag those really relevant people that you've been communicating in the comments with a way to follow up. So it can actually help with outreach inside other communities. But not just that, in terms of the automation side, we can actually schedule posts in our own community and also in other communities. And we can also tag people based on the responses that they say. So if they actually replied in the comments, we could actually tag them to follow up with them in other communities. Or in our own communities, we could actually follow keywords and get people to, if they say a keyword, we can automatically DM them a free lead magnet or PDF or follow up with them. So we can tag them in different ways based on different actions they do in our communities and also in other communities, which I think is absolutely insane for those people that want to start leveraging the Skool platform itself more to generate leads and sales for their business. Now, it's obviously going to be more for people doing high ticket with that, given that outreach on that level is a bit more difficult, unless you're doing lots of value posts and people are actually potentially coming to you. But yeah, I think it's really powerful in that sense. But what we can also do is we can send new member follow-up sequences. So we have different automations that we can do. We can actually manage the DMs inside here. We can send drip DMs. We can have new members alerts that we get told when new members join. We can tag new members. So if a new member, we can auto tag them. So make sure that things are going to follow up. We can send messages and tag people based on actions that they take when they churn, they cancel, and so on. So we can actually do automated things inside here. So if you want to send someone a message to say, oh, I see you're canceling, is there anything I can do or help with? Or their card is declined or they churn, we can send them auto DMs inside here as well. We can add external webhooks to trigger different things. We can do actions, alerts, tags, and DMs based on people upgrading or downgrading inside tiers. So we can do messaging in that sense. Or if someone upgrades, we could send them a message going, hey, I saw you upgraded. Here's what to do next, and great to have you here, and so on, which is obviously fantastic. We want to be able to do that inside. And we also want to tag people who are upgrading to make sure we know who's upgraded and who potentially hasn't. We can basically, this is a new feature that they've added, track course completion. Now, this has never been that great inside of Skool because it has to be manually done, or they have to watch a video in full to like at least 80%. So therefore, tracking completion rates in courses is going to be a bit more difficult, but we can actually still track that data inside of Scoot. And then what we can do is do different activities and different things or triggers based on that activity. So if they watch the course, we can then say, hey, I saw you watch the course. Would you like to book a call to talk about the next steps? Or maybe you should watch or do this next. You could do different things and different triggers based on that, because that shows that you've got some people that are really primed for activity. Notifications and alerts to yourself. Then we've got all the different follow-up DMs. So this is going to be what's really powerful for people. So you can automate an entire onboarding sequence, more than just one auto DM, to make sure that you're sending people different auto DMs. But you can also, and I'm a massive fan of doing elements of bespoke as much as possible. So I don't recommend going full automation at the moment until maybe it's much better or you're much bigger and you just can't manage things. But I think a personal DM at the beginning is really great. But then what you can do is you can tag them to follow up. You then will see if they responded to the initial welcome DMs, and if they didn't, you can then tag them to add them to a new sequence, which will send automated follow-ups, and then potentially, like in my case, remove them as in unresponsive and inactive in the system, to then be maybe sent another personal DM later on to say, hey, look, you're not really doing anything. I'm going to remove you for now. You're welcome to come back in future, or whatever you want to do. Or lots of different automated sequences that you can add for different reasons. Now, I just use it for a couple of different things. But again, you could add many of these different, I could add one here, And it basically, I can get it to trigger based on anything. So I can add the name. Let me see if I've got one here. So let's say it is triggered based on the auto DM, and then it sends one later on with some information an hour later, and then I send a personal DM afterwards. And then what I can do is trigger the next one by having a fixed type of small post, even an emoji combination or whatever you want, that you then post, and then it triggers the next one. So we can trigger all of these different automations very, very easily inside. We can also bulk tag people. We can do keyword watch, and that keyword watch can be inside other communities. So we can get notifications based on people asking certain questions in other communities. Now, if you're doing any type of outreach, that's really powerful, because if you can answer it in other communities without having to directly go through and see every single new post in a variety of different communities, it allows you to basically answer the relevant questions to your expertise and what you do. And then if people click through and they see your profile, you can then even have in your profile, hey, this is what I do. If you would like to know more information, just comment this. Just send me this word in the DMs. And that will then trigger automating a sequence to send them information. Or they'll click on your bio and they'll go through to your community. And if it's a free community, they might sign up. So all of that type of outreach is completely possible inside. And then we can obviously get a number of different reports and so on. But this is just scratching the surface of what Skool can actually do for automating a lot of things that you can do inside of Skool. And I can tell you now, you'll see so many additional things. We can also send voice messages in the DMs, which I think is amazing. I've been wanting Skool to do that for a long time. And in fact, many times I get tricked thinking Skool has added a new feature, and I actually realize that Skool has added that new feature. So for example, if I go in here, this schedule button here and other buttons that I see throughout Skool are because of Skool. So I can schedule my messages inside here. Therefore, it will automatically send out my posts here and in other communities and do some of those automations for me. So this just makes managing your Skool community and your outreach, if that's something that you're doing, much, much easier, and allows you to create a smoother onboarding system, especially if you're doing mid to high ticket offers. So let me know your thoughts on this. Hopefully you realize that this is something that is absolutely, maybe you're as excited about it as I am. I'm really excited to see where Gareth and team take this tool. Again, I'll put a link to their group in the video description where you can get access to the tool, free trial, free onboarding call, and all of the different things that they're currently doing inside. But I think this is the future of Skool management, group management on the Skool platform. I'm sure other tools will pop up, but I haven't seen anything better than Skool right now. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you'd like more training on growing your own Skool community, I'll link to our free group in the video description as well. See you in the next one.